London, 1782. A city teetering on the edge of panic. The Black Death had long been consigned to history, yet whispers of a new plague slithered through the streets. People clung to desperate hope, until a man arrived, promising salvation wrapped in spectacle. His name was Gustavus Katterfelto, scientist, showman, charlatan, and in a matter of weeks, he would have the entire city in the palm of his hand. By the time Gustavus Katterfelto set foot in London, he was already a master of deception. A self-proclaimed doctor, an alchemist, a magician, his titles were as numerous as his tricks. With a mane of wild hair and piercing eyes, he dressed in flowing robes, carrying the air of a man who held secrets beyond mortal comprehension. But Katterfelto wasn't just another street performer. He understood something far more powerful than sleight of hand: fear. And in the late 18th century, nothing gripped the public's imagination like the threat of disease. Newspapers buzzed with rumors of a mysterious fever sweeping through the city. Death tolls rose, panic spread. And then, Katterfelto arrived, claiming he alone had uncovered the true nature of the plague. He spoke of microscopes, a word still foreign to many, claiming to have seen the very creatures spreading the disease, tiny, invisible demons lurking in the air. And if the people were willing to pay, he would show them proof. Crowds gathered, coins changed hands, and under flickering candlelight, Katterfelto revealed his greatest illusion yet, one that would make him rich, famous, and feared in equal measure. But was it all a trick, or had Katterfelto truly stumbled upon something beyond his own understanding? The answer would send shockwaves through London and seal his name in history forever. In a dimly lit hall, the crowd pressed forward, eyes fixed on the man at the center of the stage. Gustavus Katterfelto stood before them, his presence commanding, his voice rich with authority. Before him sat his prized possession, a polished brass microscope, its lenses gleaming under candlelight. "Behold," he declared, gesturing to a slide beneath the glass, "the very agents of death, the creatures unseen by human eyes." The audience gasped as he peered into the device, his expression shifting from solemnity to barely contained horror. He described writhing monstrous forms, plague atoms, as he called them, clawing through the very air they breathed, and if anyone doubted him, they could look for themselves, for a price. One by one, spectators stepped forward, pressing coins into his hand for the privilege of witnessing the invisible enemy. Of course, most saw nothing. The microscope was real, but the illusion was in Katterfelto's performance. The tension, the mystique, the certainty with which he spoke. And in a city already teetering on the edge of hysteria, certainty was worth its weight in gold. News of his demonstrations spread like wildfire. Within days, the aristocracy and commoners alike whispered his name. He wasn't just a scientist, he was a prophet of disease, a man who had glimpsed the forces shaping life and death. And with each passing night, his show grew larger, his pockets heavier. But Katterfelto was never content with a single trick. He craved spectacle. If a mere microscope could command such fear, what would happen if he proved his powers stretched beyond science, into something darker? That was when the Black Cat appeared. He introduced it as his demonic assistant, a creature that could sense disease and misfortune. Superstition had long painted black cats as omens, and Katterfelto exploited that belief masterfully. If the cat avoided you, you were safe. If it came near, well, that was another matter entirely. Londoners flocked to his side, desperate for reassurance or revelation. Some paid him to confirm their health. Others begged him to cure them of ailments both real and imagined. And with every new claim, every ominous glance at his feline companion, his legend grew. But legends, especially those built on fear, have a way of spiraling out of control, and soon, Katterfelto's greatest trick would become his greatest mistake. At the height of his fame, Gustavus Katterfelto was untouchable. He had captivated London with his so-called discoveries, his black cat's ominous presence, and his bold declarations about the invisible threats lurking in the air. But as his fortune grew, so did his arrogance. He began making grander claims, ones that even his most devoted followers struggled to believe. One night, standing before yet another packed hall, he made his fatal misstep. With his usual theatrical flourish, he proclaimed that not only could he see the disease, but he had also conquered it. He was, he declared, immune to the plague itself. His black cat, perched beside him, flicked its tail as if mocking the very words. It was a claim too bold to ignore. People began to question. If Katterfelto truly had the answers, why was the disease still spreading? Why were people still dying? Some murmured that he was no savior at all, but a fraud who had fed on their fear. Then, fate struck back. Days after his grand pronouncement, Katterfelto fell ill. Fever consumed him, his once booming voice reduced to rasping whispers. Word spread like wildfire. Had the plague he claimed to control finally turned against him? Had his black cat, once a symbol of his power, cursed him instead? Crowds that once gathered to hear him now gathered to watch his downfall. Some called it justice, others irony. But all agreed on one thing: Gustavus Katterfelto's reign was over. He recovered, but his reputation did not. London moved on, as it always did, and the man who had once been feared and revered was now little more than a cautionary tale. He wandered the country, still peddling his tricks, still seeking audiences who might believe. But the magic was gone. In the end, Gustavus Katterfelto died as he had lived, on the fringes of legitimacy, a man who blurred the line between genius and fraud. But his story lingers, a testament to the power of spectacle, the fragility of fame, and the eternal truth that fear in the right hands can be the greatest illusion of all.